Hello, I'm the Ohio sports guy, and well, football is back. The championship started on Friday. Yes, I know I've done American football on this channel many times, but today we take a trip across the pond to do some English football and predict the 2023-24 English Premier League table. And I'm not saying I'm good at this, but I'm saying I'm good at this. I know what I'm talking about when it comes to Premier League. Well, I just got myself clipped back coming up now in May. Why do I do this to myself? But anyway, we're going to go look at the table and try to predict where each team will finish in this Premier League season. But before we get underway, if you are not subscribed, go down below and do so. Share this to anyone who you want to show this to. You never know. You might see a funny comment that I make about your favorite club and say, hey, take a load of this. And then in May, when it's correct, well, I apologize. But if it's a good prediction, then make sure you remind me of that. All right, let's get into the video starting in 20th place. And I don't want to put this team in 20th place, but I think everyone knows exactly where I'm going with this right now. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go put them in there. The Hatters. Luton Town in 20th place. I mean, the business that they've done so far this window, going over my other tab that I have open. Couple guys in there are pretty cool. I mean, Marvelous Nakamba coming in for $4 million from Aston Villa, no correction, 2.9 million. That's just the value. They got him undervalued. That's a good move for them. Tyth Chong from United coming on loan from Birmingham, another 4.7 million there. But a couple of nice losses that they had, especially Ethan Horvath, an incredible story coming out of America. The 28-year-old going back to Nottingham Forest after his loan. There's not enough quality in the squad to keep up the team. Yes, playing at the Kenny this year will be difficult for many teams. Don't get me wrong. I know the one meme shows, I believe it is Tottenham going in there getting battered 6-0 and then turning around and beating City at the Etihad. Yes, I said the Etihad. I'm a United fan. I'm going to remind them of that. United. But, yeah, there's not enough quality in this squad. I think 20th, unfortunately, is where Luton Town will end up. And now let's take a look at 19th place. Another newly promoted side. I think everyone knows this club. Yeah, Sheffield United. The Blades. Yeah, they had a good stint in the Premier League a couple years ago under Chris Wilder, but I mean, that was a couple years ago. Chris Wilder now gone. I believe Paul Heckingbottom's now at the helm. Let me fact check that. And it appears, yes, he is. Paul Heckingbottom at the helm over at Sheffield United. I don't think he's going to be enough to keep this team up. Looking at the transfers, $5.8 million for Trusty from Arsenal, but losing their star man, Ndai. Got a lot of the goals in the championship last year. They need to be able to replace him, and it looks like they're not going to be able to do so. Sheffield United, I have them going down. Good luck to the Blades, but I think we're going to see them go right back down into the championship. And with that, let us now go into 18th place. I have a couple teams in this region. I mean, looking at my note card, between the team at 18th all the way up to the team I have in 14th, I could see any of these teams going down. The unfortunate one I have going down is Wolves, or you can even call them Wolves Club de Portugal, as 442's made an infamous joke about that a couple years ago, but I have Wolves going down in 18th place. Final day, I believe they'll go down, as now that will move there. Lovely. All right, there we go. We're back. But just looking at what Wolves has done this year, a lot of loans ending. It's unfortunate what they're losing here. I mean, let's look to who they have lost so far. Neves, Collins, Cody, and Jimenez, the main four they're losing. Saudi money got Neves. Brentford is able to sign Nathan Collins, Connor Cody, going down the championship with Leicester, and Fulham getting Jimenez. A nice job by them to kind of put a Band-Aid on the Mitrovic issue if he does leave to Saudi in the coming weeks. But looking at who they got, I mean, they got a lot of guys back from ending of their loans. Fabio Silva, Guedes, Kejana Hoover, Doherty coming back on a free transfer, Boubacar Traore coming in for $11 million, and then making the loan of Mateus Cunha permanent for £50 million. It's not the greatest move by Wolves. Their identity of being more of a Portuguese club is going down. Yeah, they got 3 guys back in that are Portuguese, but they were all out on loan. I think they're going to go down about 34, 35 points on the last day. It's going to be a tough day for Wolves, who, honestly, I think a couple of years ago, everyone thought this team would be a mainstay in Europe and kind of be where Newcastle is right now. But I think their luck runs out. They'll be playing the 24-25 season in the EFL Championship. All right, now let's see who just misses out on relegation. Nicely done by our tier maker. I could have done this in many different segments. I don't know if you noticed this. I think I've had one or two other videos on the channel where it's just free-flowing talk, but I decided to try it out again today, and it's a lot easier to edit it with the tier maker, and it's a lot more organized than having the table on the screen the whole time. Let me know what you think about that below, if this is a format you want to see in future videos for other sports, as I still have other predictions to do left before some seasons start. And now looking in 17th place, could have put a couple teams here. I had two teams on my mind for this one. In 17th, I'm not going to go with the team that I have my cursor over here right here. I'm going to go to the right one. Nottingham Forest. A very good team if their players click. Now, will they click? I don't know. As a Man U fan, I want to see Anthony Elanga succeed. I wanted him to stay at Old Trafford, don't get me wrong. But I think he can do a job for Forest. I mean, Forest could go down if Brennan Johnson leaves. I mean, they're kind of clutching onto him right now, but if he goes, they might switch with Wolves. I don't know. But as of right now, it looks like he's staying. Chris Wood, $17 million, permanent deal from Newcastle. A little bit of a weird one. Ola Aina, he used to be a good prospect back in the day. 26-year-old free transfer coming in from Torino. A lot of guys coming in from the end of their loan. No one really of note except for Ethan Horvath, who we already mentioned, but he won't be a starter there most likely. Sam Sturridge, he's leaving to Nashville. Cafu, no, not the main Cafu, not the Brazilian one. One going to Rotherham, free transfer. I mean, Navas going back is going to hurt them. Renan Lodi is going to hurt them leaving. But I think Forest is going to do just enough to stay in the Premier League. Maybe next year I have them going down. I just think they're going to be able to edge out Wolves in the final day. Kind of similar to what Burnley had when they got relegated a couple years ago, where they were edged out on the last day by Everton. I think they just survive. And speaking of Everton in 16th place, that is where I have the Toffees Club coming in right there in 16th position. And don't get me wrong, I want to see Everton stay up in the Premier League, but I know some of their fans are thinking it might be better for them to get relegated. I know looking at Burnley's situation, they got relegated. Vincent Kompany comes in, they do an excellent job in the Championship, one of the best seasons in Championship history. And now they're going to the Premier League, and you still haven't seen them yet. And looking at my notes, we still have a little bit before we see Burnley in this prediction. I think they're going to have a very good season. But Everton, just looking at the business they've done, Arnaut Danjuma finally coming in after his loan spell with Spurs ended. After that deal was hijacked, he came in on loan, $4.2 million for a loan fee. Ashley Young coming in, giving some experience. That is nice. Moise Kean ending his loan, but he was just sold right back to Juventus. I mean, looking at some other ones. Dele Alli coming back into the squad. I'm wishing the best for Dele. I'm hoping he'll get in the squad. I think everyone after that interview, that powerful interview he gave, everyone wants to see this guy succeed. I remember growing up watching that Spurs team in 16-17, thinking this kid would be amazing. And I know he still can be. I did an Everton rebuild last year on FIFA. In year one, he scored like 20 goals. By year three, he was an 87 overall. If he can do something like that, have another late bloom of his career, that would be awesome to see for everyone involved. I'm sure Spurs fans, MK Dons, Besiktas, where he just came from, anyone who's had Dele, they would love to see that happen. I mean, well, looking at some outgoings that they've had, Connor Cody leaving back after his loan. No one really of note leaving the club. I think Everton, it's going to be another one of those years of just surviving. Sean Dyche, another full preseason under his belt. He is able to get teams to survive in the Premier League. He is really good at that. I think he'll just do enough for Everton to survive. Maybe 2 or 3 points above the drop. It'll be them kind of in that mix towards the final day. I think this is where the cutoff is for the final day. Everton, Forest, and Wolves will be the final 3 teams fighting out for survival in the Premier League. But Everton, 16th. And that'll take us now into 15th place. Yeah, that makes sense for Bournemouth. Last year, everyone thought they'd finish 20th in the league. I remember they posted on their social media page just all the influencers giving their predictions. A great video. If you've not seen that one, look it up. It's a bit of class there from Bournemouth, showing their haters, we did it. We survived. I loved that from them. Nice job to the Bournemouth admin. Shout out to you. But this year, I think we have another similar season. They got some guys coming in here. Traore from Sassuolo, 25.6 mil coming in there. Justin Kluivert, He kind of was bought to sell shirts, but I think he could do a job in the Premier League. I think, given the right situation, I think he can do a nice job at the Vitality Stadium, if it's still called that, for Bournemouth. But I think he can do a shift for them in the Premier League. Favre coming in from Lyon, 15 million. Kerkez coming in from AZ Alkmaar for 17.8. Looking at the outgoings, I mean, Jefferson Lerma, free transfer, he's leaving, but he did a nice job for them while he was at the club. Jack Stacey leaving to Norwich, trying to see if any other names look familiar on here. I mean, not really. The main guys that they got, Favre and Traore, were already on loan last year. I think this is going to be a good year for the Cherries. Finishing in 15th, pretty solid for them. Overall, if you're Bournemouth, you're going to take this season to the bank. Another year of survival. And then that going into 14th, this one may be a little surprising. Fulham. All right, my explanation for this one is simple. Aleksandar Mitrovic. He is a big reason why they did so good last year. Yes, getting Raul Jimenez, if Mitrovic does end up leaving to Saudi, as of right now, it is 9:16 Eastern Standard on 8/5/23. That's when this is being recorded. He is still a member of Fulham, but if he ends up leaving, that will hurt them, and I kind of predicting that in here. Even if he doesn't leave, I don't think they can keep up as well as they did last year. I know it was another influencer I was watching yesterday. His kind of take for a lot of these clubs was, you got to move them down a spot because Chelsea is not going to finish 12th again. That is a big reason why a lot of these teams, you see a lot of these bigger clubs now, you can kind of quote-unquote bigger clubs, such as your Villas, having them drop a spot because of Chelsea bumping them down. I mean, it's an interesting dynamic, but this is kind of below that. But still, I mean, nothing really crazy in the transfer window. Overall, Fulham, this is about where they belong in the Premier League. Maybe next year they can bounce back if they're able to do well with the money that they're able to sell Aleksandar Mitrovic for to Saudi. Then after Fulham, now going into 13th place right now. They're always around here in the table, Crystal Palace. A lot of people have them going in 12th place. That's about where they finish usually. But I think 13th place is about right for Crystal Palace. And a big reason why I think that they will finish in 13th, you can't see it on the screen, but the free transfer of Wilfried Zaha leaving to Galatasaray. He's been their star player for years. This is their first year without him. And yes, you still have Roy Hodgson. He'll keep them up. I think this might be his last year. I'm going to say this is his last year. I think Palace getting 13th is respectable for them. If they can do this, I think they'll be happy, and then they're going to be able to build a little bit this year, a little bit next year. I think they'll start creeping towards the top half of the table in the years to come, but losing Zaha's going to hurt them. 13th is about right for Crystal Palace. And following Crystal Palace into 12th place, this is an interesting one. A lot of people have this team a lot lower in the table. I'm fooling all you where my cursor is right now. Let's go back. Let's go to Burnley. I said them earlier. I have them having a very good season, and a lot of that is due to Vincent Kompany and the manager that he is. He is a great manager in his first real role here with Burnley. Yes, he did a little stint with Anderlecht as a player coach, but I'm not going to kind of call that into here. But as well, even look at the business that they've done so far. They're looking pretty good. I mean, Weghorst coming back in, he could be flipped or even do a job in the Premier League potentially. James Trafford for 17 million coming in from Man City via Bolton Wanderers, as Thogden calls him his brother. I think he'll have a good year in the Premier League. I don't think we're about to see Gavin Bazunu 2.0. I think that he'll have a solid year in the Premier League, not maybe get a lot of clean sheets. I'll say about 7 to 8 for him in a 38-game season. I think that's about fair for James Trafford. I mean, him being 20, potentially turning 21 during the season, he's still young. There's still plenty of time. When it's all said and done, I think he'll be a top goalie. I think he'll be better than what Meslier is for Leeds, what Bazunu currently is for Southampton. I think he'll be good. I mean, looking at some other transfers for them, I mean, none other really of note. I mean, Edamani coming in from Basel, 18.6 million. I apologize, the transfer of pronunciations, are incorrect. A lot of these names are a little difficult to pronounce, especially as I'm just having it on the other screen right now, looking at a lot of these names for the first time, as I don't watch the championship. We don't get that on our television. We get a couple of games on NBC Sports, and if you want more, you get Peacock for the occasional United game on Peacock. We are not spoiled for choice. However, we could watch the game in Spanish. I mean, if you look at Messi's debut for Inter Miami, yeah, we were watching the Spanish broadcast of that one. The only word I understood from there was goal, but I loved it. The passion of it. That's one of the greatest things you'll see watching announcers around the world. The passion they have for the sport, but still seeing that game from Messi. We'll talk about that in another video potentially, but that was a good goal. I think he's going to do a very good job in Inter Miami. And the whole thing, I'll be able to go see him play at some point, whether it be in Columbus or Cincinnati. As myself being the Ohio sports guy, kind of have to have that Ohio bias in there going to one of those two stadiums. But overall, back to Burnley. They're going to have a solid year, and they're going to build on it in the next year. 12th, that'll be their benchmark. They'll get up into the top half next year if they're able to build off of last season. Then going into 11th place is West Ham United. Very interesting team to rank here, coming in around 15, 16 last year. They had a really good 21-22 season where they got into Europe, but there's a chance potentially that another year of European competitions destroys them even further, as they are now in the Europa League after winning the Conference League this past year in what was Declan Rice's last game for the club. I mean, looking at how they've invested since then, if I can get that screen right, there we go. If I can see what they've invested since, really? This is causing me issues. Hold tight. There we go. You can see how they've invested since then. I was saying that for the third time. I mean, nothing really crazy. The two guys that they have in were just guys that were on loan, coming back from their loan. They lost Declan Rice. They lost Masuaku to Besiktas, and Lanzini finally leaving there. They still have plenty of money to throw around. They need to make some signings here, otherwise they're going to drop a lot. But I think West Ham's going to be able to juggle it well this year. David Moyes, I think he'll do well. I think this will be his final year in the London Stadium with West Ham. It's an interesting one to call. I don't know how to call it necessarily. I'm going to say 11th, around mid-table. It sounds about right for the Hammers right now. And now going into 10th place, a team who overperformed last year, but will be without their star man going into the start of the season. You got Brentford. Now this one is an interesting one to kind of decipher here. On the one hand, they had a very good season last year. That's one way to look at this. Another way to look at it is that their star man in Ivan Toney is suspended up until January. I think mid-January he is eligible to return. How well can they do without him going into that point? They did some good business though. Shade coming in from Freiburg along with Flecken, the goalkeeper. Nathan Collins coming in from Wolves, $26.8 million. A couple guys coming back from their loans. And they really didn't lose anyone that big leaving the club. I mean, a couple of guys they bought back on loan. Shade was one of the ones that they bought after his loan ended. But I think they have a good year. Thomas Frank is a top manager. I think we saw it from day one in the Premier League where they opened up the 21-22 season, if I'm not mistaken, with a big win over Arsenal. That was a great game to watch. I know I watched that one live. An incredible job Thomas Frank has done with this team. I think they're going to continue to improve on that. 10th place, a little bit of a down year. But once Ivan Toney comes back, watch out. They're going to rise in the table. Now going into 9th place, a team that finished in a European position. Brentford. Right against Brentford, Brighton, as I call them, as I mix them. Of course I'm going to do that. The Seagulls, they're a good team. Don't get me wrong. But looking at who left the club, it's going to be a down year, I think. McAllister leaving. Sanchez, he kind of fell out of favor there. The Aaron Connolly experiment failed. That's an unfortunate one. Some lone guys returning to their clubs. They got some guys back, though. I mean, looking at how they've invested well. Don't get me wrong. João Pedro coming in from Norwich, Watford. One of the two clubs that's now in limbo in the championship for $34.2 million. Igor coming in from Fiorentina for $17 million. Will he translate? I don't know. Same can go for Verbruggen coming in from Anderlecht to most likely replace the outgoing Robert Sanchez. And two Free transfers that will be huge for this team. Mahmoud Dahoud coming in from Borussia Dortmund, and then as well James Milner coming in from Liverpool on a free transfer. Those guys I think will kind of balance things out, but 9 times about right for Brighton. Like I said earlier about the balancing of the table, it's kind of an interesting dynamic to play with. If the table balances with Chelsea higher up, a lot of teams have to go down. They finish in 6th, having them in 9th. Overall, it's only 2 places different if you're just putting Chelsea back up there. But still, 9th place, a good spot for the Seagulls to finish in. Now we go into 8th place here. I was torn between 2 teams, Aston Villa and Spurs. I looked at things, I thought about it here. I just decided I'm going to go with my gut. My gut says to me right now, even regardless, if Harry Kane leaves, got to put him in 8th. Now I'll just put Villa in 7th while we're already there. But Spurs in 8th. And Postecoglou, I think, is going to do a great job as manager. I just think Villa can have a better season. I mean, they have some good guys coming in. Dejan Kulusevski coming in after his loan being made permanent is a good bit of business. Pedro Porro coming in. James Maddison coming in from relegated Leicester. Some guys coming back. They really didn't lose anyone of note. I just have a feeling this year is going to be a weird transition year for Spurs. I think Postecoglou is going to have to take a second here to kind of develop his tactics in with Tottenham. I think they're going to struggle at the beginning of the year. They'll be below 10th come Christmas. They'll be calling for Postecoglou's head. He'll settle in, and they will finish in a solid 8th position. This is an overperformed 8th position for Spurs, not an underperformed. I think they'll take that. This is the final year, I think, of Harry Kane, if he's not already gone. Like I said, recording on August 5th. He can still leave before the season starts to Bayern if things work well there. I don't think it matters. I think they finish in 8th regardless if Kane is there or not. Son, it's only a matter of time before he wants to leave or another team's going to offer for him. If I was Spurs, you can kind of rebuild after selling Kane and Son, reinvest in some younger talents around the Premier League and around Europe as a whole. You can get some young stars in for this team and kind of try to run things back that way. I think this will be the last year. I think they're going to try to realize we got to blow things up and kind of rebuild, retool. You don't want to fall out of Europe entirely for the next couple of years. Even though they don't have Europe this year, I think they're still going to struggle. And now that takes us to 7th place with Aston Villa. This is a weird shout as there's kind of a newly established top 7 and Spurs is in it and not Villa. But I think they're going to knock on the door and get into 7th. Yes, they could have an extra couple of competitions going on, but look at the business they've done. Moussa Diaby, $55 million. A lot of people don't like the move. It is the signing of the season in the Premier League for value and what they're going to get from Moussa Diaby. Yes, you can put the Leon Bailey comparison there. I think he's going to end up being one of the signings of the season, at least in the signing of the season 11, if you make one at the end of the year. It's a huge bit of business for the Villains. Pau Torres, $33 million, another nice bit of business there. Tielemans on a free, coming in from Leicester. Beautiful move being done there. And then the couple guys that you lose, Marvelous Nakamba to Luton. Ashley Young leaving. Wesley Moraes going over to Stoke City. Morgan Sanson being loaned to Nice. You're not going to miss these guys. I think they're going to do a really good job. However, if Emi Martinez is sold, they drop down the table real quick, and I'm not afraid of bringing up a team like Spurs, definitely in 7th. I could have just everyone move up one, have them go right where Burnley is in 12th. I could see that happening if Emi Martinez is sold. I don't think they'll sell him. I think they finish in 7th, and I'm going to go with that. We have 6 teams left now, as we're already into a longer video, about 24 minutes in right now. You have a kind of a new Big 6 forming here. The question is, who goes in next? A lot of people are going to say Chelsea. Some people are going to say Newcastle, some Liverpool, some United, some Arsenal. I think every team except City is being predicted in 6th. Give me Chelsea in 6th. It's a big jump from last year, don't get me wrong. I think they're still going to have a rough time getting things settled here under Pochettino. It'll take them a minute. Yes, the signing of Nkunku is good, but eventually you're going to realize the money ball approach doesn't work. Look what happened to Fulham when they threw $130 million around when they got promoted a couple years ago and then went right back down. Money ball doesn't always work. It works for teams like Brentford. Villa is trying that kind of money ball. I don't think it's going to work for Chelsea. I think I have a lot of guys who are going to be upset with their game time and are going to be upset. I mean, look who they've already had to sell. They sell a ton of guys off. Let's go list them right now. Kai Havertz, Mason Mount, Mateo Kovacic, Kalidou Koulibaly, Christian Pulisic, Edouard Mendy, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Ethan Ampadu. N'Golo Kante leaves on a free. Cesar Azpilicueta leaves on a free. Aubameyang leaves on a free. There you go. You're losing a lot of guys, and I think every season, if you have that, how are you going to create a culture at a club? That is why the FIFA approach of rebuilds doesn't work in real life. Overhauling a full squad doesn't work. The reason why Luton got to the Premier League is they kept a couple guys from the start, getting a couple of guys in League Two there and developing them over a couple of years. If they would have made it to League Two and got rid of everyone, they probably would have floundered around there and probably still be down there. You got to build a culture. You got to have the same 5 or 6 core guys, and I don't think Chelsea has that. Because up until this year, we thought Mason Mount was part of that core. We thought that Kai Havertz was part of that core. We thought Koulibaly could be part of that core. We thought that Mendy was part of that core. It's all changed. The dynamic can't keep changing at these clubs. It's not going to work. We say the same thing in football, being a Browns fan. Everyone says, oh, we need to fire the coach. We need to fire the coach. The coach isn't always the problem. If you go under new leadership every year, you have what happens with the Browns. They flounder around 5-6 wins a ton of years. I mean, now we're getting into the 7-win territory and can make the playoffs this year under Stefanski. But still, changing of culture doesn't always work. I think Chelsea, they're going to start the year around 9th or 10th and get up to 6th at the end of the year. A little disappointing year for Chelsea, but I think Todd Bowley is going to look at that and say they made the wild card. Come on, you had to make the joke. Someone had to do it about Todd Bowley's spending. Come on, don't hate me. Don't hate me, hate the game. And now going into 5th. Originally, when I was playing this video for weeks, technical difficulties delayed it. I would always say, oh, the top 4 is going to be Arsenal, Man City, Manchester United, and Newcastle. I had said that the whole time. It wasn't until I sat down and did this list a couple hours ago that I changed my mind and put Newcastle United in 5th. I think that being in Europe in the Champions League is going to drain the squad. Without looking at the group, I think they're going to get out of the group and get into the round of 16 or the quarterfinals. I don't think they're going to get any further than that. But I think their squad is going to be depleted. Yes, you're getting a guy like Sandro Tonali to come to the club, but come on, you've seen some of the media. He does not look happy to be there. Harvey Barnes coming in, it's an okay move. Alan St. Maximan leaving to Al Ahly, that's a big blow. I'm going to say it's a big blow. He's been there for years. I think Newcastle's going to slip one spot here. Nothing crazy. Newcastle fans, Magpie faithful, calm down. It's going to be okay. You guys are going to bounce back in the top 4 next year. I just think there's 4 better teams than you right now in England. And now going into 4th place. This one could be a controversial one, as a lot of people are saying that this team is either going to finish a lot lower or a lot higher. I'm going to go with Liverpool. And I put Liverpool in 4th here. I was originally going to put them in 5th. That's what I was doing. 5th or 6th and maybe having Chelsea higher. I think they've done enough good business this window to just keep them in there and have an improved season. If they can avoid the injury bug, now if everyone gets injured, they're going to finish worse. But Salisbury coming in and Alexis McAllister, those are 2 good pieces of business to shore up the midfield. Yes, they lost a lot of guys, and once again, we're going to name off all the guys that they lost because that is what we are doing here. As if I can get back to the proper screen. There we go. Having the split screen. I have right now what you will see on your screen right over here is off screen. On this screen right now is where I have the actual thing I'm editing. But let's read off who they lost. Fabinho, Jordan Henderson, Naby Keita, James Milner, Roberto Firmino. Those are all who they lost. I mean, a couple of guys going out on loan. And, I mean, the Ox is without a club now, and Arthur Melo went back to Juventus, but no one's really going to miss him. He didn't have much of an impact. I think 4th is about right for this Liverpool team. Jurgen Klopp is a quality manager. He's one of the best in this league. Right now, looking at things, he's number 2. Everyone knows Pep is number 1. Klopp is number 2. Arteta, you can say he's 3. Klopp is a top 2 manager in this league. He will drag this team up into 4th. I think they'll be there and sit around there for the whole season. I think it'll be a very good year for them. In 4th, they'll get back into the Champions League. I think you'll be happy with that season if you are a Liverpool fan. I know a couple people who are Liverpool fans. Let me know, would you be happy with finishing 4th this year in the Premier League? And now we have a final 3, Manchester United, Manchester City, and Arsenal. This is not me being biased here. This is not my bias at all. Arsenal to finish in 3rd. If Liverpool move, thank you. I think last year was a little bit overexceeding for Arsenal. I know it's an unpopular opinion. I think they exceeded expectations and they're going to crash back down to earth. Yeah, Declan Rice coming in is good. Yes, Kai Havertz coming in is good. Jurrien Timber coming in, good. Granit Xhaka leaving might hurt him a little bit and some other guys, but I just have a weird feeling about this year for them. Yes, those guys are good. I think Kai Havertz is not going to have a good year. I think he's going to struggle just as he did at Chelsea. I think that Declan Rice is going to take a little bit to adjust to life now at Arsenal. I think it's going to be a weird year for Arsenal. The Gunners are still going to be good, still finishing 3rd. I think it's going to be a weird year for them. And I think that a couple other teams did a little bit better business, and that's going to be the difference. But with that being said, the title race, I have coming down to the last day. I think that Arsenal and United will both be about a point or 2 behind City going into the final day. Without even looking who they play on the final day, I think City is going to get it done. But let's look up Premier League match day 38. I want to see who these people are that they're playing. I've got to actually type in the proper thing into here, 23-24. If I could somehow find a list easily, it doesn't appear we're finding the list really easily, does it? No, we scrolled down to the 19th of May, 2024. Arsenal take on Everton. Brighton take on United, and City takes on West Ham. And like I said earlier, this could be a decider for relegation. Nottingham Forest plays Burnley. That game doesn't matter if they're on the beach. I think Nottingham Forest wins that game. Looking at Wolves, who finish in 18th. Wolves take on Liverpool. They're not beating Liverpool that day. They lose. Everton, they have the task of beating Arsenal. They do it. I think that City, regardless of what happens in the other game, I think they're going to win. I think they're going to win that game. But say they draw. Regardless of that, I think Brighton's going to do what they did to Man U on the first day of the season, just a little bit less. I think the Aguero goal will be scored by Brighton. I think Matoma will score a last-minute equalizer to break United fans' hearts. I can be completely wrong for this. I think that's what's going to happen. With that being said, United in 2nd, City 1st. Now let's talk about United. Rasmus Højlund, Mason Mount, Andre Onana. 3 great signings. Onana going in net will be huge for them. He'll be a great shot stopper replacing De Gea, a great servant of the club, don't get me wrong. He just struggled the last couple of years getting a new goalkeeper, the right move for Erik ten Hag and co. Mason Mount, I think, will struggle a little bit. Why would we give him the number 7 shirt right away? We've seen the curse. Alexis Sanchez turned into a championship standard player. Kind of what happened to Philip Coutinho. After coming to Man U wearing the number 7 shirt. Giving it to him this early is a bit bold. I think he'll struggle. He'll be fine by the end of the year, but he'll struggle to begin. And Rasmus Højlund. I'm not saying he'll be 007. He'll be 005. Match week 6, I think, is when he scores his first goal. Looking at who Man U play in that time, that might be crazy to think, but it's not ridiculously crazy to think. Week 1, Man United, Wolves. Week 2, Spurs. Week 3, if I can find it, is Nottingham Forest. Week 4 is going to be Arsenal. Week 5 is going to be, or is non-existent. Oh, Brighton. There we go. Week 6. Oh, look at that. United play Burnley. I've always said this in the way things go. If you watched me over at Holy Name Broadcasting and you saw the CVCA lacrosse game to end our season, you saw how heartbreaking that game was at the end. But I did say this after to someone. The final score of that game was 6-5. When we played them earlier in the year, it was a 6-5 score. We won that game. Poetry. Looking at things at another lens, I think there may have been 3 things that were that, but the only other one that matters here is the player who scored the last goal. He was a freshman, keep in mind here. He had the ball at the end of the first game. He couldn't get a shot off to win the game. This time he gets it off and gets the goal in. And last year, we ended a team season at the last second shot, from what I was told. This year, ours was ended by that. Every sport is poetic. That is how it always works. It always randomly works that way. No matter what, sports always has a way of being poetic. Let's go back to Messi's goal. I kind of posted this after it, but that free kick to win the game. What was in my head was Peter Drury's commentary. The little boy from Rosario, Argentina. Messi on a million backs. And all that. Done it a million times in the new camp, and then he missed that goal against Germany. Then to be able to score that free kick there for Miami to win a game a lot less of a scale, but still, it shows the poetry. Rasmus Højlund is a like replacement here, not really like replacement. Wout Weghorst is built. But he's replacing Weghorst, who went back to where? Burnley. It makes sense. 005, his first goal will be against Burnley. It's poetic. Man U second, and then Man City going into them first. Gvardiol being official, a big move. Kovacic replacing Gundogan, nice. Yeah, they also lost Riyad Mahrez to Al Ahly. They'll be fine. They'll win the league, and they'll do it on the final day. All right, with that, that'll take us to the end of this video. Do you agree with my predictions? Let me know down below. Do you like these longer style videos that are just kind of me talking, unedited? You get a little bit of the bloopers here, a little bit of stuttering there. As if you look at a lot of the videos, there are 5 or 6 takes for half of the opening clips. I mean, I'll go, hello, I'm the Ohio Sports guy, and, oh wait, I don't like that. I'm going to redo that. I do that a lot. This is kind of just an uncut version. If you like this, let me know down below. Once again, if you are new here and like the content, go down below and subscribe. A lot of you who watch are not subscribed. Our goal is just kind of grow the channel as much as we can. But with that, that'll take us to the end of the video. Thank you for watching. Have a good day, everyone. Peace.